general studying sounds. And I studied for an hour and a half. And when I went to just to do any minor edits and upload it, I discovered that my microphone wasn't selected on my laptop as the source of the audio. And so I had an hour and a half of just the visuals of me studying, but no sounds to go with it. So that was rather disappointing. I've not deleted the files. I'm probably gonna have to, because there's nothing I can do with them really. But I'm just gonna have to leave it as it is for now. I don't have time to deal with it at the moment, and I don't think there's anything I can do. But it's quite upsetting, because I'd spent so long studying. I'm gonna do a practice paper later today, which I'm hoping to video and record with audio this time. And then, at least because I really wanted to have a study video up this week. It's been something I've been wanting to do for you guys for ages, and the universe keeps conspiring against me. But this video isn't going to be a study video. This video, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. I'm gonna put some hand cream on because my hands are feeling a bit dry. I did laundry today, and today is a very windy day, so it's one of those hang the washing out on the line and hope it's still there when you come back sort of days. I lost a few clothes pegs. One of the pillowcases got torn. It turns out we need to get stronger bedding. It was a brand new bedding set that I got recently, and the fitted sheet is already starting to look a bit it's not quite torn, but it's definitely been distressed from where it's been hung out on the washing line in high winds. And yeah, the pillowcases, one of them's got a tear in it from basically where the seam came undone, which is quite frustrating. But yeah, it's a problem with high winds that we get up here. The best drying day was yesterday. We had good wind, but not too strong, and it was warm and sunny. Well, warm for Shetland. Probably most everyone watching this video would find it freezing cold, but warm for Shetland. But I had to go into work yesterday. The woman I shared the job role with asked me to switch days, and I had yesterday pegged as my laundry day, and I had to rearrange. Anyway, now that my hands are moisturised, they feel much better. Today we are going to talk about values. Basically, it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. I mean, it's an ongoing thought process for me, but I was having a conversation with my husband last night, and he was commenting about back when I was still working in an office, and I was supposed to start work at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I would often roll in sometime after 10 o'clock. And it used to really stress my husband out. I mean, we didn't even live together at this point. I lived in England and he lived up here in Shetland. But he'd be, we spoke every day, and he'd be aware of what time I said I didn't care about it, and it didn't bother me, it actually really, really did. But I was in a really bad place with my mental health. And although it really bothered me turning up late to work every day, I really struggled in the mornings to get going, and there's a lot of things in my life that bother me, that I'm not happy about. Like, for example, if the house gets to be an absolute mess, I might pretend like I don't care. I might not have the energy to do anything about it at that point in time, but it does bother me. You know, when I see, like, my office, when it got into that state there where the floor hadn't been hoovered in far too long and it was all covered in cat hair, that bothers me. But some people might think that I'm not bothered because it's like that. And you could say that, well, if you've allowed it to get like that, then clearly it doesn't bother you enough. And I should have put a caveat at the beginning of this video that it's just a random ramble whisper video. I haven't really thought really clearly what my thoughts are going to be. This is more like a thinking out loud type video. It'll be rambling and we'll see where it ends up. But basically there's a lot of things in my life where if I was to hold up, like write a list of what my values are, it probably isn't reflected in how I actually live my life. And that's not how I want to live my life. That's lacking integrity. It's kind of a bit of introspection. And yes, I am being critical of myself, but I'm trying to be critical of myself in a positive and proactive manner. So basically what I want to do is to spend some time thinking about what my values are and whether or not they're actually reflected in the way I live my life, and if there's any changes I need to be making for those values to be reflected in my life. Now, this is going to be a kind of thinking out loud exercise. I might put something down that might not be of value. It might be something else that you'd use a different title for. I often get confused with titles for things because you get goals and objectives, and like there's a difference between the two, and it might be that I'm referring to them as values, and you might be like, oh, there's something else, not a value, but whatever. I've got my bullet journal here, and I might put things neatly into my bullet journal, but for now, for thinking out loud, it might get messy, and I want to write it out on just a pad of paper. So, if I think about my values, this is in no particular order. I was going to number them, but that's in no particular order, so I don't want to number them because that implies priority. husband and his parents. So my husband is extremely hardworking. He has a full-time job where he goes and he works hard, and then when he comes home, then he'd be for the croft, and he's also a volunteer fireman, and yeah, he's a very hard-working person. There's something he's doing, he's very proactive about doing it. Before I moved up, he was very, like, he kept this house far cleaner and tidier than I do now that I've moved in. And I mean, even now that I'm here and I should technically be doing the housework, he will still pitch in and help when things need doing. And he gets that from his parents. Like, his parents, they come up and help all the time with the really hard manual. Like, so my in-laws have just turned 70 this year. Or was it last year? It might have even been last year. This year, last year. Anyway, they've just gone into their 70s. And they come and help with all the really hard manual labour on the croft. Like, they will come and they will pitch in and put in a solid day's hard manual labour. And whenever they come up, like, if there's like a load of dishes waiting to be washed, my mother-in-law will just wash them. Like, she can't, if there's something that needs to be done, she can't just sit back and leave it there. And that's something I really admire and I really respect in them. And that's a quality I'd like my children to grow up with. If there's something that needs to be done, you just do it. And this is something that I know in my life. There are times I'm really good at it, and there's other times that I've failed miserably. I know that my mental health has massively impacted on how much I engage with the tasks I need to be doing. But that's definitely something. Yeah. What I might do. Actually, I think I would like to. I'm going to stick with big pens. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and think of something where I'm good at it and something where I need to improve, and try and be honest. So with hardworking, when I've been around, there's been some days when they've been doing stuff in the croft and I've had like exams or I've had hospital appointments, and so I've not physically been here. But like the other day, they were things I need to work on. I'm going to say my mental health struggles have definitely impacted on this, and I could do better. Like for example, I can waste hours on my phone when I should be like doing housework, for example, and then that time would be far better spent. I would need better time management. Time management. Oh, there's an N there. Stroke self-discipline. Other things I value, like, so for example, I can clearly say things like caring too much about my appearance. I don't really care about that. Like, so that I know that there are certain things I don't value, and not that it's a bad thing for other people to value them. So people who do value being really smart and presentable, that is wonderful. You know, that's good for them. It's just not something I'm particularly bothered about. I'm going to say honesty. So this is something that I have spent a lot of time thinking about recently, because as I'm looking into parenting techniques, then there's this whole argument about traditional punishment and reward parenting, where you either reward good behaviour with like some kind of attractive reward, or you punish bad behaviour with some kind of discipline punishment. That teaches the children to be looking outside of themselves for the motivation to do the right thing, rather than looking within themselves. And then it also points out that the punishment system doesn't actually discourage bad behaviour, it just encourages dishonesty in avoiding getting caught and getting the punishment. And I've become aware that that's really something I'm bad at. That I got really good at lying to avoid getting into trouble, whether it was to avoid upsetting people, or whether to avoid getting into trouble, or to avoid any kind of confrontation. I could literally look somebody in the eye and lie to their face, without any shame. Well, I am ashamed of the behaviour, but I could do it in a way that they would have no idea that I was lying right to their face. And that's not something I'm proud of at all. That's not the kind of behaviour I want to encourage in my children, and I've been working on it. So for example, admitting when I'm wrong. There's been times lately when I've been trying to, like, if I lose my temper with my husband over something stupid, like there was a time recently that I yelled at him because he got in my way while I was trying to clean the fridge, and it was like, as soon as he left the room, I realised that it was completely unnecessary the way I spoke to him, and it was uncalled for. And so I went and apologised to him, and I was like, I'm really sorry, like, there was no need for me to yell at you. And he really appreciated that. And there was another time that we were having an argument, and I was wrong, and I didn't want to admit that I was wrong. Like, by the time I realised that actually I was wrong, and I'd used the wrong word for something, I was like in too far, and I didn't want to admit that I was wrong. And this all happened in front of my stepson. So I made a point the next day of apologising to both my husband and to my stepson, because I was like, that wasn't pretty behaviour. So I'd say I'm getting much better with this one. showing real improvement, showing real self-awareness. And self-improvement. And that is something that I'm proud of. But the tendency to lie, to avoid trouble, or cover up. So even if it's not lying, it's that whole, like, when you break something and you hide it so the person won't see it, rather than just coming clean. But yeah, that's a work in progress, but that's something that I've been aware of. See, this is where I want to put things like to have a clean and tidy house. I don't know if that counts as a value or if that's something else. And it kind of ties in with the whole hard-working thing. I know that there's a lot of dead time in my life that has been wasted, that if I put that time to better use, then it could have been much better used. But yeah, I'm going to put to keep a clean and tidy house, because when my house is clean and tidy, I feel so much better, like, in myself. I just feel that life goes so much more smoothly. I feel much better surrounded by a clean and tidy space, and I'm really terrible at maintaining that. I'm really bad for doing the marathon cleaning sessions and then, like, not doing the slow and steady maintenance. I'll let it get out of hand and then I'll do a lot to bring it back under control. And that's where I need to work on a better system of a little bit every day rather than, like, a lot in one big lump. And this is where, as well, I've been thinking about this lately and cutting myself some slack, because and this is where understanding demands that get put on us and our priorities, because I was thinking, gosh, I'm gonna be 35 in a few months' time and I still haven't mastered this. Like, how have I not mastered this already? But then I sat and thought, and actually for most of my adult life I had a major career. I was a chartered chemical engineer before I moved back home, and that took a lot of my time and energy. Even though I turned up to work late, I did try to be hardworking when I was at work, and I was putting a good 8 hours a day into that, and a lot of time and energy into that, and there just wasn't enough energy or time left in each day to be able to then also do really well at this. So this was a secondary priority, and it's learning to cut myself some slack. That the working week that we work to was based on the assumption that one person would work full time and there'd be somebody at home keeping the house, not working. Well, not working in a career, but working in the home. You know, preparing meals and keeping the house and everything, looking after children. But now we're in a world where everybody's expected to go to work full time, and also there's this expectation to keep a clean house, raise children, have hobbies, eat well, exercise, and I've some people will be able to do all of that and do it well and do it successfully. myself some grace for the 11 years when I had a proper career. That actually during that time, that was my priority. This past year has now been over a year since I left my career and moved home. And I've been working part-time. I only work 25 hours a week now. I say only, that's still a fair bit. But there is hours every day that I'm home. And I'm still adjusting to the change. And that change has been very, very difficult. I'm planning on doing another video all about the things the experience of going from working full-time to working just part-time. I need to that video I will need to put some thoughts together on how I want to do it. But yeah, this is something that I do value, keeping a clean and tidy house, and it's something I want to do, but I'm still struggling with that. I'm gonna put my positive, cutting myself some slack. Not previously a top priority due to my career. Now needs work at maintaining. Regular routine. And there's been a lot of thoughts I've been having about like the mundane type life and learning to embrace it and stuff. And another value for me is the environment. Looking after the environment. Baby is like squiggling around in my belly. Baby likes ASMR. When I sit and listen to ASMR videos at work, at the moment, at one of my jobs, I'm doing a lot of really boring filing work. And so what I'll do, it's a project I started before coronavirus hit and lockdown happened, and I want to get it finished before I go on maternity leave. I've got 3 more days of that job before I go on maternity leave, and I'm well on track to finish this task. I like wrapping things up. So I'm going to get this task finished before I leave, but it's like a massive filing job. It's quite mundane. So I've been playing like whisper ASMR videos in the background while I've especially been loving southern ASMR sounds. Mary's been doing some, like, she gets these big bags of like jewellery from like thrift stores, and she goes through them, and it's something that I don't need to watch. Just having her whispering in the background describing the jewellery that she's pulling out of these bags and just commenting on it has just been such a lovely, pleasurable, enjoyable waste, for example, I put out one black bag of rubbish, typically one a fortnight, but then we burn a lot in our ray burn, which generates heat and hot water. Okay, I'm back again. My husband just phoned, so that kind of threw me off my train of thought. And after he got off the phone, I was sitting thinking a wee bit, and I'm not sure that counts as like a value. That's what I was talking about before, how I probably get like my terminology all wrong, and I think values are kind of more like hierarchy like these. But I'm going to keep that on there because actually it's something that at the moment is important to me, but something that I'm failing to do. But yeah, looking after the environment. So I actually studied environmental studies at university. So I did chemical engineering with environmental management, and when I was a small child, I wanted to move to Africa and go into animal conservation and save the elephants. As an adult, I haven't quite achieved that. But looking after the environment is something that I do care about, and I care about my impact on the environment, and I want to live sustainably. I want to live as much as possible within the confines of the earth. Now, I believe that the earth has the capacity to provide resources and to absorb a certain amount of waste, because everything in nature works in cycles. You've got the water cycle and the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle and all these different cycles, and so the earth can take back so much and then convert back into something else that's usable and feed it round. But when we produce more waste than the earth can deal with, so for example, if you are burning things and you're emitting like polluting gases, there's so much that the earth can absorb. You know, trees can absorb so much carbon dioxide, convert that back into carbon to grow with and make more wood, more trees. But there's certain things that don't cycle well. Things like the single-use plastics and things like that, which the earth can't break that down. It can't do anything constructive with that. And at the moment, we're burning all of those sort of things in our ray burn. But we're like, by the end of this year, we might have gotten rid of the ray burn. We're looking to put in an oil-fired heating system and hot water system. Which means that we won't have the solid fuel fire in the kitchen anymore. And I want to be cutting down on what I'm sending to landfill. So yeah, it's something I do care a lot about, but this is where, back in my old life, where I had the career, then actually looking after the environment, and I'm going to put / animal welfare as well. Because I also care about where my food comes from, both in terms of air mileage, but also in terms of like what the animal welfare. So I'm not vegan, I'm not vegetarian, but I do care deeply about animals, and I care about how the animals have been raised. So I grew up on a farm, previously, in my previous life, where my career was the top thing in my life, it took so much of my time and energy going to work and doing my career and being hardworking that I didn't have the time or the energy to be living by the value that I have about looking after the environment and caring about animal welfare. I didn't have time to go shopping local farmers markets. I didn't have time to be like convenience foods were more necessary. Packaged foods full of plastic, packaged in plastic, were necessary because I didn't have the ability to grow my own. I didn't have the time or the energy to go doing all the work that's required to live this value. But now I have a different life now. I now live on a farm. At the end of this month, I will hopefully be the named crofting tenant on a croft. I've got plans to get chickens, to get cattle for raising beef. I have plans for growing my own fruit and vegetables, learning how to make jam. I have so many plans about becoming more self-sufficient, and I also want to care more about looking after the environment. So this is a big value for me, which I was not living previously because my previous life did not allow it. And that now I basically plan on doing a whole project, not quite a life cycle analysis. When I was at university, my dissertation was a life cycle analysis. So I know the process, but I probably won't be doing that. But I want to do a whole review of the waste we generate here in this household and investigate exactly where we can reduce our waste and change what we bring into the house to change what we put out. So yeah, this is something that I plan on spending a lot of time. I mean, the animal welfare thing, my end goal is that all of the chicken, the eggs, the beef, and the lamb stroke mutton, we don't really eat lamb, we eat mutton instead, all of that we consume is raised ourselves. The pork bought locally at local butchers, and the as much of so I can get salmon and crab. We had mackerel recently that somebody caught, so we can get seafood, fish and seafood all locally. So get all that stuff locally, sustainably, so that all of the animals, and then all of the milk that we consume is produced by the Shetland Farm dairies. So it's local dairy. But that's my end goal is that all of the animal products we consume are local, and try and get it to, as much as possible, that we're consuming British fruit and veg as locally grown as possible. Really cut that air mileage down on those items. There might be certain items that my husband really likes having berries in his muesli in the mornings. He might not be willing to sacrifice that. So there'll be certain times of the year that they'll be getting imported from abroad. That's, all I can do is do my part. But yeah, so this is something where it's I'm just going to put plans for a big project. Plans for a big project. And I'm going to put career and convenience got in the way. And so like with the baby, for example, we're going to trying to use cloth nappies and reusable wipes and all that kind of stuff, and so we're trying to reduce our impact. So that's something that I do care deeply about. I guess as well, charity is something that I do care about. I believe passionately in helping those less fortunate. And I guess this is where I also believe in things like the welfare system, paying my taxes to ensure that nobody else in this country should need to go hungry. And this is where, like in the past, I've donated a lot of money in the past when I was able. But in terms of where I can... Oh, there's a really cute bird outside. I hope it flies away. Because there's 2 cats outside. Birdie, you are not safe. It's flown away. We're good. But to be able to continue with this, I need to get to a position where I am I basically need to have a better income coming in so that I then have enough to be able to share. A cat just appeared. I'm glad that bird flew away. Yeah, basically I want to be successful enough to where I'm able to share, and that's where the keeping a clean and tidy house comes in. The reason why that's important to me is A, I want to live in a nice environment, but also B, I want to have a home where people can stop by anytime and it's clean and tidy and they're welcome. And so there's never that, oh no, we're not really fit for guests right now because the place is a mess. I want for people to be able to stop by anytime and to be able to practice hospitality. If somebody needs to stay somewhere, there's clean bed sheets on the spare room bed. If people need a meal, there's food in my fridge. That kind of hospitality, and so having a clean, tidy house feeds into that. So yeah, charity for me is important, giving back to those less fortunate and helping people up. I do have plans. I'm working to become an accountant, and I have plans to help people with debt management and that kind of thing. And there's a charity called Christians Against Poverty CAP, and they work a lot with people to try and help get them out of poverty, get them out of debt, because debt is a massive issue in our communities and in our society, and that's something that I hope in the future to be able to help people with, getting out of debt and money management and that kind of thing. So I have long-term plans on that, and that's something that's important to me. This is where I'm trying to think if there's other things that are really important, like important values. Because things like the wanting to grow my own fruit and veg, I mean, that falls under the environment. I guess a recent value I'll take a year off, I'll raise my children for a year, then I'll hand them over to somebody else and I'll go back to work. Whereas now I'm kind of like, actually, I'm valuing the importance of raising a child well over a career. And so I'm actually now more of the attitude that no, I'd rather spend the time and effort raising my children doing it myself rather than handing them over to somebody else to be doing that work for me. I don't really know how to summarise that though. I'm just going to put raising children. And I've been doing a lot of research. And I need to do more research, and also I just need experience. I'm going to put need experience. Experience. Wait and see as well, because I might discover that actually for my mental health I need to go back to some form of work. And I might need to hand my children over to somebody else for a while every week. Just for my own mental health. And I won't really know that until I get into it. Because everyone's different. Some women thrive as stay-at-home mothers. Other women need to get back to work, need to get back to a career. It's like, you know, they need that thing that's their own. And I don't judge or condemn either of them. And some women are able to do both and do both well. And I think they're just amazing. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other, like, really important values for me. I guess it's like, what values do I really want to instill in my children? And it is that being hardworking. I don't care what they do with their lives as long as they work hard. Honesty, definitely. I probably wouldn't be so bothered about whether they keep a clean or tidy house. But I'd want them to look after the environment. I'd want them to look after those less fortunate. And whether or not they have children is entirely up to them. So these two probably aren't as in the same category as the other values. They probably don't count as values, they probably count as something else. This is where, after doing this video, I'm probably going to go Google, like, a list of values and realise that there was, like, a whole heap that I could have listed, and, like, I was thinking that I might do, sorry I'm yawning, I was thinking I might do a video on the 9 Noble Virtues. It's something that my husband, he's actually got a tattoo of the 9 Noble Virtues. It's like a 3 triangles symbol, and it's something that, like, people who like the Vikings like a lot, like your Celtic nations. It might be kind of common in those kind of places. So I might do a video where I look at the 9 Noble Virtues. has nice handwriting, and there's part of me that would love to have nice handwriting and to be able to play musical instruments and be able to speak foreign languages and to read a lot of books. But I don't think they fit in here. That's like a wish list, which if I don't achieve, I'm not going to be devastated. I feel that's something else. But I feel I've kind of rambled on, and I've filled an A4 page. So I might go do that past paper now. Now that I've got the microphone working. I said I might do a video on the 9 Noble Virtues, and I'm also thinking about doing a video about the whole transition from working full-time to working part-time, and then I'm about to do a transition to not working at all for a while. Although I won't be not working for very long, because although baby will be my world for a little while, my plan is like if there's something needing doing on the croft, as much as possible I will still be getting stuck in and helping with that, and I'm still going to be studying towards my accountancy, and within a year I hope to have my accountancy business up and running so that I can be making money out of it, so that I can work from home. When my maternity leave finishes, I would like to be able to work from home, but still have an income coming in. So I will need to figure out how to make that a reality. Get some clients and all that kind of stuff. I'll probably have to set up as a bookkeeper first, and then from there build up to becoming an accountant, because it'll be quite a few years before I get to where I want to be with my accountancy. But anyway, that's enough rambling for one video, and I'm going to go and do a past paper, and I'll be back in another video sometime soon. So until then, take care, and I'll see you again soon.